Okay, we are back, and I am afraid that once again, so this would be for the second time that YouTube did not save the beginning of the live because it happened. No, this would be the third time because it happened twice before. One time on a public live, and one time on one of my sponsor lives. So, hello again, Catherine. So I got my little coral beads are all done. So the first thing will be to sand them. So I'm going to start with the red. Now the red would be your last choice because as you can see it's very, very bright. It's a very bright red. And I'm going to only use 400. I'm not starting with the lower grit because on most of them there is texture. Hi, Deborah. Yes, it is. It is horrible. I have no idea why it's doing that. So hopefully that's why I started with the sanding. Hi, Joaquin. That's why I started with the sanding because if it will remove the sanding, it won't be that horrible as removing other stuff. And you can see how the crayon actually penetrated the clay. Come on, camera. If it ever wants to focus. Sometimes it has really a volition of itself. So you can see how it penetrated and discolored the clay a little bit. Now it needs to refocus here and it doesn't. Hi Chris, hi Donna. Okay, Celebrate Creations. What's your name actually? Because I only know the name of your channel. And I love your Imperial Mexican Jasper. Hi Chris. Did I say hi Chris? Okay. I guess I'm starting to get tired a little bit. And this is how it looks on the one that had the... Okay, let me just first finish sanding and then we'll look at them close up once I'm done sanding and buffing. So for the ones of you who came later, I'm starting just with 400. We don't need a much finer grit because we have texture there. Lower grit because we have texture there and we don't want the sandpaper to actually eat away the texture. We just want to shine it up a little bit. Oh, I don't know if it combines because I kind of have some trouble believing that the cheapo crayons actually do have any kind. I think they are based on paraffin, but it has the same effect on Primo, and Primo is not beeswax based. So it actually eats up. It's like it leaves cracks in the clay. I don't know if you can see. See how it leaves? It melts and it will leave. And this is what the faux turquoise is based on too. Because it actually discolors Primo more than it discolors Pardo. So I don't know about combining. As I said, I am sure that these are paraffin based, not beeswax based. That would be too expensive for a dollar store thing. Okay, then I will move straight to 1000, directly to 1000. Now, one thing that you have to keep in mind about coral, do not use a power tool to buff it. Coral is never glass-like shiny. It does have a little bit of polishing on it, but that's what I'm using, Catherine, and I'll show it in a minute here after we get to some other stuff. But that's, I'm using a flex shaft. Only on certain things I'm using a small mini bench grinder, but especially on cabochons and stuff, I'm using a flex shaft. If you look back, I have a tutorial where I show how you can sand and buff on a dime, where you don't have to buy all these. Oh, that's fine. It's not that hard. You don't have to buy all those expensive Fordhams and jewel tools and stuff. And you can do stuff just by hand. My only issue when I'm doing this on camera is that I have to hold my arms, my hands higher than my waist, and that is what at one point it will start hurting. That's the only problem. But otherwise I'm pretty fast in sanding. I do have a polyfast. Actually, I have two polyfasts right now. Unfortunately, the polyfast, even if it was awesome in the beginning, it breaks very fast. Yeah, it does make sense. But as you could see, they didn't really mix. So it must be something else too. It, as I said, the crayon will melt and will leave pretty much gouges. It's on the same way that there are some techniques that were developed by Citizen Kane on making hollow canes using beeswax. They did, when they're doing the canes, for example, doing a grid cane and all that, they actually used logs made out of beeswax, and they use those logs in canes so that when the cane is sliced and then used and baked, the beeswax will melt and you'll have all these empty spaces remaining. Coucou Karine, comment ça va? Okay, and this. And then we are pretty much done with the buffing, but I will show you actually, okay, what a difference it makes. I will buff one of these beads with the Dremel tool, and I will show you how excessive buffing actually reduces the realistic look of the stone. Let me get this out of the way. Okay, so let's reserve this one to buff it with the power tool. And then these other ones, I will just use this. Now, if you look in my influencer store, you'll find a pack of these. I know they seem to be a little bit spendy, but I can assure, because they are like $12 for a pack of, oops, 3. The thing is that they are the absolute best on buffing by hand. And especially when it comes to those waxes, those art alchemy waxes, it's absolutely... For what? A wire brush tip for what? For buffing polymer clay? Oh God, that would eat the polymer clay until nothing will. No, you use, I told you, if you go look at my tutorial, you use mini buffing wheels. Most people use muslin, but I found some fine wool ones that are 10 times better than the fine muslin ones. No, brushes don't work. Brushes will gouge because the polymer clay gets warmed up because of the friction, and it will gouge. That's why if you use a bench grinder, you're supposed to move the bead all the time, never keep it. It's a soft material, it's plastic. So this is pretty much the buff that you want on a faux coral. You don't want to go beyond that. Let's do these other ones real quick. And remember also, for hand buffing, the best are the pieces of carpet. If you go to a home improvement store and you say, oh, I need some samples of carpet because I want to decide what I want for my house, they'll give you these little squares. Sometimes they are just self-serve in the carpet area. Just grab a few of those. They are absolutely fabulous for buffing. They are much better than denim and other stuff. Actually, let me go see if I have them handy. Actually, no, I don't. I put them somewhere safe. You know how that goes. And now we will see which of these brings the best realism. Hello, hello. Yeah, you have some issues with the denim, and I'm telling you, it's the carpet. It's much better for polishing, and this for the last polish. What you risk with denim is for some of the denim dye coming off on your clay because of the heating. I used to use denim long time ago until I had a few mishaps, and after which I discovered the whole carpet thing when I wanted to watch a movie, but I wanted to polish. So I just got yeah, it's okay, Catherine, no problem. So I just got my pieces and I was sitting on the floor watching the movie and just polishing my pieces on the carpet, and it worked beautiful. And that's when I went ahead and I got some carpet samplers before I got my power tool. But the carpet samplers worked just fine. No, you don't need to use anything. Just simple, the polishing cloth. But as I said, this would be just for things like coral that don't need a lot of buffing. Now let's see the difference. Now, one thing that I tell everybody, whenever you're buffing with your flex shaft, make sure that you do not bend this area, because any bend bigger than this will cause this area of overheat to overheat, and you might even get injured. So noisy. Okay, why isn't it noisy? I must have turned off the. Yeah. I turned off the extension cord with the chair wheel. Okay, so now it will be noisy. Okay, so let's look at the differences. See how polishing it with the buffing wheel makes it way too shiny and too plasticky looking. Because real coral is never polished this shiny. Of course, you can go, my hands don't allow me to go very high on the hand polishing, but I'm actually going to polish one more to show you the difference better. But as I said, if you polish them on a carpet, and I can just get on the floor and do it on the carpet, but with better hands than mine, you can get a much better polish. But you can see the huge difference between the super polished stuff and yeah, the carpets are synthetic. Who the heck can afford to get a really real wool carpet? So let's check this one. Okay, and let me just get on the floor for a second. Okay, much better. Okay, now let's take a look again. See how polishing them too high gives them the plasticky look. And that is the main thing that is the danger whenever working with polymer clay, to be very careful, not because it's a plastic, not to get your pieces looking like cheapo plastic Chineseries. Okay, let me see what. Yeah, but that's the problem with the jeans, that the whatchamacallit, the dye might come off. So see, if it is too polished, it gives it the plastic look. While if it is just gently buffed and buffed, this is the look of a Tibetan coral bead. Because they are worn, they might get a little shiny, mostly because of use, because most of the time they are prayer beads. But the real coral is never buffed, polished to a very high shine. A chin plastone, yeah. But you can see the huge difference between the super polished, especially because from China you have all those fake corals and fake jades and fake turquoises and all that. Yeah, those are great. Those would be good too. But I told you I prefer the samples from the stores, the home improvement stores, because they are about this big, so they are perfect to hold and work with. Yeah. So there we got. So remember, what did we use the foam coral for this one, right? I think we used the red fire opal for this one. We used the coral for this one, and the red from the art clay for this one. And this was just a mix between the coral and the red fire opal. But you can see how easy it is to get, come on camera, to get faux coral. I should have gotten a higher saturation on the setting, because these don't look as red as they look in real life. So yeah, this one I probably could sand a little bit more. Remember, the higher the best you sand. If you want a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful buff, you always need a very thorough sanding. And because my hands are up like this, I cannot really do a very good sanding. So ready to move on? Let me put these in the, I have another little, all kinds of little stones here. If you cannot say yet, I am crazy about stones, right? If you couldn't tell yet. What is this? The heck is this? I have no idea what this is. It's got some calcite. I'll have to research this, because I have no idea what it is. Anyway, let's move on. So our next, in terms of simplicity, yeah, it does. It melts and it kind of goes in the clay and it leaves all kinds of. Actually, I should have. Yeah, hold on. Because I have, if you go look back, I have a faux turquoise tutorial where I made this. And on Primo, as I was saying, it actually discolors the clay more. Let me get the camera to focus. Come on, camera. And it leaves, see? It's a very realistic turquoise matrix look, especially because of the, come on camera, discolorations it gives. Yeah, I thought of sodalite, but no, you have to always remember my camera shifts the blues and sometimes it reacts weird with the reds and the golds. That one is actually a very, very dark blue, like if you were to mix ultramarine in one part with 2 parts black. That's pretty much the color. Okay, the next ones in terms of how hard it is to make it would be amethyst. As I said, I don't have amethyst, but we're gonna use the ametrine, the olivine, and the obsidian. So for that, we are going to use, of course, translucent. Now, the thing that I keep saying, and I am going to, yeah, it's not lazurite. It's way too dark to be lazurite. It's way, way, way too dark. It barely has any blue actually in it. Maybe sodalite, maybe some kind of dirty sodalite. But no, it's not lapis. It's definitely not lapis. Look at the lines. It's definitely not lapis. Maybe sodalite. Bonjour, hello. So I don't know. Okay, so let's get on with this. First, I'm going to use the ametrine, and as I kept saying, um, you always have to be very careful when talking transparent, translucent in Pardo, because the transparent, translucent in Pardo is white, and it will be white until you bake it and it cools down. So everything that you're making with it, you have to be very, very careful because it will darken like by 6 degrees of hue by the time it cools off. And we know of some people who thought that they were doing pink and then they ended up with red rhodochrosites, but oh well, they don't pay attention. Okay, so always with Pardo, remember you go thin. So we want to, and if you didn't watch it yet, there is a tutorial I have, and you can find it very easy on my website. On my website, I have a whole section that's dedicated to Pardo only. And not only I show how to condition Pardo, but also how to get rid of the, whatchamacallit, the placking in Pardo translucent, transparent. So you always want to condition Pardo thin. And I'm going to get quite a bit of the translucent because we have 3 colors we are going to make Skinner blends in. With the translucent. Okay, this should be fairly enough. Whatever's left over, I'll just put it aside. Hello. Now, how many Catherines? We have 3. Okay, Sherry. Yeah, so if you try to do the Pardo on thick, it's going to crumble and look like if it were half-baked. As I keep telling the story, that was the main reason why Pardo did not catch on the American market, because both Hobby Lobby and Michaels at one point sold it. But number one, they didn't place any kind of instructions anywhere on how to work with Pardo. So people thought that they had some old half-baked clay. And on top of that, both Michaels and Hobby Lobby actually did put up a half-baked shipment of Pardo because they thought, well, people don't know anyway. So this is why Pardo flopped before it started on the American market, which is a pity because it is one of the best clays out there. Of course, people try it, they don't know how to do it, and they scratch it off as not being good. But there's nothing that can compare to it in terms of making gemstones. And in other things, it's beautiful when it comes to flowers as well. And canes, but as I said, each of the things has a different, is better suited for different things. And it's not like there is a clay that is the best for everything. There is no such thing. Each of the brands of clays that are out there, they have a yeah, no, this is a different roller. I really need to clean it. But yeah, I use wax paper on the clay to prevent the clinging, but this is going to cut in the pasta machine. Okay, now I went, see, this is normal for Pardo. It is normal for it to look like this when you condition it. It's absolutely normal. It's not normal to get dirty. Okay, this to go. Okay. Now, once you got it going, you can go with it thicker. And the problem is to get it going. And I will do just real quick also the how to get rid of the blacking, because we don't want a lot of blacking. Okay. I softened it up too much. Yeah, okay. So this is Pardo conditioned. Oh, you don't have to worry. Watch my video on how to condition Pardo, because in that video I conditioned some Pardo that's like 10 years old, and it conditioned perfect. The whole trick is to start it on thin. That's all that is. Dichroic. I don't know if the resin can be baked. No, it will not happen, opals. No. I'm not sure if the resin can be baked like that. That thick of a resin, I don't think it can be baked, because casting resin usually cannot be baked. And in order to get anything dichroic or non-dichroic in resin, you need to have casting resin, because the UV resin would not cure if it has any kind of, obstacle for the UV light. Whatever's under those particles will not cure. Yeah, well, I don't have that. But no, it will not look like opal. I mean, why would you even, as I said before, it's very easy to get, relatively easy to get fire opal with resin and mylar flakes or whatever. The challenge is not that. The challenge is to get them just with clay, just with polymer clay. And it can be a challenge, because it's hard to, most of the flakes, and that's the problem. I think I went through several dozen different types of flakes before I was able to do I don't know if you watched the tutorial on that. Give me a second to find them, because they are somewhere here. Yeah, because before I was able to find any kind of flakes that would not lose the shininess when baked. So you can get stuff like this. Yeah, but it will be too rigid for the clay. I mean, you can use Angelina film, which is a type of dichroic, and it will change colors. But I mean, if you go ahead and do the resin, there's quite a number of tutorials on how to do fire opal using resin and flakes. As I said, the problem is with the polymer clay, to be able to do it with polymer clay. Okay, this won't work like this. It's hard to make the camera focus. As I said, Google Hangouts would not allow me to get into the camera settings. Yeah, and that's the problem, to find the resin that would stand the heat. Come on, camera, come on. Just doesn't want. Gosh, just doesn't want to do it. But yeah, pretty much that's what you can get. And this is Pardo. These are all Pardo. You can see they are very clear. But yeah, there's a tutorial on YouTube on how to do all three of these. The milky white, the matrix, and the Mexican fire opal. If the camera only would want to focus properly. Yeah, who doesn't? Considering how expensive they are. I had some Mexican fire opals that were maybe the size of this thumbnail, and they're like $150 to $250 each. Oh, sometimes I hate this camera. Yeah, that's and I kept saying the problem with fire opals is that you're trying to recreate a light color. It's not a pigment color, it's a light color. And it's very hard to create that. Come on. Goodness. Driving me nuts. It has issues and issues. Sometimes it wants to focus, sometimes it doesn't. Most of the time it wants to focus when my hands are all the way up here, so I get tired easily. Come on, you stupid camera. I'm gonna beat you up. It just doesn't want to. Go. There's absolutely no reason not to focus right now. Try something. Probably won't let me, but I will try just all the same. Yeah, it will not let me. I just cannot get into the settings of the camera. The Hangouts doesn't doesn't let me go in the settings of the camera for some reason. Hold on, let me grab the other camera because the other one I can get in the settings of without issues. And as long as I don't turn the monitor off. Just a second. The other one doesn't have as much definition as this one. So let's see. There you go. So this would be the faux Mexican fire opal. Try and get it a little bit darker for better. There we go. Now we have the true colors and depth. So this is the faux Mexican, milky white. But as you can see, I couldn't find any kind of flakes that would be completely translucent and would have just iridescence. That is the main problem. The boulder, actually it's not really a boulder, it's more of a matrix because it doesn't have more than 50% matrix. Another matrix. Another white. Another Mexican. And yeah, I think that these are super close-ups, so a lot of the stuff that otherwise wouldn't be noticed is noticed. But yeah, it's very hard to make fire opal using just polymer clay. And as I said, it took me several dozens of different flakes that I tried. Well, make one. Go look at the tutorial and make one. Because it's a public tutorial. It's on YouTube. It's not a paid tutorial. You can just go get it. It's got all the materials and everything. So you don't have a problem with that. And then I need to turn on the AC down a little bit because the stormtrooper is heating up the room. There we go. Okay, let me switch the camera again. Oops, not here. Okay. Now, I'll turn back on the lights. Now, as I said, I'm going to use the ametrine. And I'm not going to use a lot of it because it might have a little bit of translucence, but you don't want your faux amethyst to be too dark. And then I'm going to use a little bit of obsidian. Of obsidian, I think I'm going to make a dagger bead, what's called a dagger or fang bead. The obsidian in Pardo, I don't know how many of you are familiar with obsidian, but people generally, when they think of obsidian, they think of black. No, obsidian can come in all kind of colors, and they made the obsidian a very dark brown, blackish. And this is actually brown. It doesn't have the greenish tinge. And well, make some. When I was to Mexico City, and I'll always say that I'm so upset I didn't get stuff then at the Tenochtitlan, the Pyramid of the Sun, you know, and the moon and all that. There were people, local vendors, that they were selling from blankets on the floor, on the ground, because not floor, it was ground. And they had obsidian daggers and obsidian pendants and obsidian spheres and obsidian, all kinds of stuff, and they were so cheap. And all stupid me bought was a t-shirt that had the Aztec calendar. No, the whole calendar thingy, the Maya calendar. Sorry. And I mean, think about this. There were spheres of obsidian this big that they were selling for like $5. And then when I came to the US and I saw that something like that is several $100s, I was like, oh my God. Oh, really? That's interesting. It would be. I wish I could do that. And that's one of the things I cannot even dream of doing anymore. Okay, now, as you can see, I got some, and I'm going to use this other. I got some of the olivine, and I'm going to actually make a little bit of a triangular stuff here. And I will do the same for the obsidian. Because the obsidian can have some variations of color sometimes, but not very, very sharp variation. I mean, you have to think that it's practically volcanic glass. I don't know, is there a day mountain in Romania? That would be interesting to know. But yeah, I don't invent gemstones. Gosh. Yeah, that was hilarious. Tanya with her spider site. Oh, that would be hard to tell. Well, if you figured out by now, I love petersite because of how different each stone is. Petersite is very... Of course I know the language. Petersite is so changing. I mean, there are no two stones alike. With other stones, you have a lot of reliability and stability and all that, but with petersite, it's like, I mean, think about the history of how petersite is formed. And I don't know, always in my mind, it's a storm that was born from the death of tigers. Because petersite is created by the decomposition of the various varieties of tiger's eye under the very hard tectonic forces, and then the quartz comes in and cements everything together. But it's just the... Oh, it is. I had no idea. I had no idea that it is. So anyway, the tiger's eye fibers get broken and then they get changed and twisted by the tectonic forces, and then quartz comes in and cements everything, and that's why you have all those patterns. But there are no repeating patterns there. I mean, yeah, there is a little bit of similarity, and that's why it's called oh no, they wouldn't have the need to do that. Obsidian, there are some areas where you can just gather it from the ground. I mean, think how many volcanoes they have there. It's just so common. It's very common in Mexico, especially in central and southern Mexico. It's very, 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 very common. No, it was real obsidian, believe me. Okay, so as I said, I'm not going to use a lot of the color. So here we have the obsidian. Then here we have the olivine. And here we have the amethyst. And this can wait for later. So let's do the Skinner blend. And yes, the Skinner blend of Pardo is a little bit different than the Skinner blend of Primo because of the ragged edges, but you can just put them back in. That's all. Oh yeah, rainbow obsidian is something else. It's absolutely fabulous. I'm dreaming of doing that in polymer clay. I really am. That's another one. Oh, that and iris agate. You were asking me about my favorite stones. Petersite, rainbow obsidian, fire agate, fire opal, obviously, and iris agate. Okay, what am I on? 5 should work. Okay, don't do this on your hand, okay? Says she writes right when she's doing it. Huh? Okay. Now, let me catch up. No, I don't count. I just do until it's done. I don't know. You have to remember that the longer you, the bigger the difference in color, the longer you have to, the more times you'll have to get it through the pasta machine. In just a minute. I got an alert from the website. I need to check something. Oh, okay. Shut up. Alrighty. Now, first let's talk about the amethyst. For amethyst. What we know about the faux amethyst, that's not always, that's not pure grade and high grade and all that. So, okay, go ahead. So let's do a little bit of fake crystallization. So I have this. I'm going to first cut it in half and stack it. That will already give me some fracturing. And then I am going to, actually let me cut it one more time and stack it. And my biggest fear at this point is blacking. Oh no, they're not combination. They are three separate stones. Remember, the idea is to be able to make decently realistic 4 gemstones using the Pardo jewelry clay with more or less work. That's why the coral was the less work, the least work. The next one, in terms of a little bit more work going, would be these, like the amethyst, the olivine, the obsidian, and other things. That's why I keep telling people there's a reason why I made that article on my website that gives you the exact properties of the colors in the jewelry, Pardo jewelry clay. And then also in the first part, if you missed it, I'm also showing how you can go on minerals.net and search the gemstone you're looking. And there's a little table there that can tell you what colors you're looking for, if you are going to have any kind of chatoyancy or not, a little bit about the crystals, that just as a general idea, not without a lot of big words. And also it will tell you how much you're supposed to buff it, because some stones are harder than others, and obviously they will buff shinier than others. So let's just try and create some kind of crystallization. So until now it was easy, right? We just did a Skinner blend, we stacked it, and now let's just, it helps when you cut with the sharp part. Let's just randomly get some so-called crystals going on here. So just fairly random. And try to kind of combine the colors from both sides of the Skinner blend. kind of jigsaw them together. As I said, this is not like having a tutorial on how to make a perfectly realistic gemstone. It's just to show you that you don't always need super tutorials, and this is why you can take advantage of a clay that has a line that was made especially for people to be able to make faux gemstones even without knowing a lot and without following all kinds of such difficult tutorials. Because remember, I said it and I will say it over and over. The intent of my tutorials is not for you to watch me doing awesome stuff. The intent is for you to learn how to do this stuff and to learn and to find pleasure in creating with clay, no matter of your level of expertise, not feel intimidated that, oh my God, this might be too hard, but I would love so much to know it. There are things that can be done even if you're just a beginner, and even if you don't have a lot of expensive stuff. Always remember, whenever you're creating something that's put together, always use the inside, because the outside will have all kinds of lines from joining stuff. So if that's going to be the face of your cabochon, you'd rather have the inside of your stack as the face of your cabochon. And I've shown you many times before how to create a hand cabochon. So essentially what we are doing first, making sure that everything is well stuck together. And then let's start shaping it a little bit. I have kind of like a trapezoid. And then you go up and down. You have a little hill here. You go up and down slowly, just to create your bevels. See, just to create these bevels. Then turn it around upside down and do the same thing on the other side, because you'll end up with one of the sides better beveled than the other, and with a better design usually. And that's what you can use. And I show in the faux fire opals how to create designer cabochons. Now I'm going to let you notice that this is a little bit too thick, even for a tumbled / polish amethyst, that if I want any kind of translucency, then I'd better go a little bit thinner than this. So I'm going to flatten it a little bit. Do I want it like this? And at this point, I might even change the shape a little bit, just for the sake of the game. Designer cabochons are practically the cabochons in which the stone cutter did not follow a specific geometric shape, but instead followed the best features of a gemstone in order to obtain the most effect and the best showing of those specific features. Like, you know, when you have a fire opal cut, you very, very rarely will find a fire opal that's cut to a perfectly geometrical shape, because the areas of fire in the fire opal, they are very random and they might follow for a little bit and then disappear. So any gemstone cutter will follow that fire, will not care about, oh my god, this is not a perfectly round or oval shape. And by the way, if you make fire opals, try to not make them huge, because that would kind of defeat the purpose of making it look realistic. Okay, this is a little bit too pointy. Sorry, I didn't mean to hit the camera. Okay, so this will be our faux amethyst. The side. Now let's go for the faux olivine, and let me catch up on the chat. Kinda. It depends on how, if you have the translucent tinted. That's what it depends the most on. If you have a darker color like this one, then yeah, you want to make it like at most 3 millimeters. But if you have it pure translucent, then you can go as thick as 6. You'll still get good translucency. After which you'll get milkiness, but not so much translucency. Now with the olivine, I'm going to do a little bit of toss and chop, and actually you can make some extra that's a little bit of a different color, because again, the olivine, the pure olivine, is very, very pretty and very, very translucent. So it's kind of hard to imitate with just plain polymer clay. It's like trying to imitate, I don't know, ruby. Yeah, that is why, Catherine. That is why, because you have to think in the, let's say in a fire opal, you have the matrix, right? And then you'll have, let's say, let me make it smaller for demonstration purposes. This is the matrix. Okay, this is the matrix. And then you'd have those areas of fire that are in, we are talking here, let's talk about boulder opal. A fire that will be, let me get a colored one. That would be one here, and then you'd have one here. Now, if this is the piece that they got, making an oval shape would be useless. So what they will try to do, they will try to get the most of the fire. Come on, no, you got stuck on close. Get the shape of the fire, so they will try to follow something that would be pretty much like this. So they will create something that would be like this. It might come close to a perfect geometric shape, but most of the time it doesn't. Exactly, you design the jewel around the stone. Yeah. And it's not just with the fire opals, it's also with the fire agates. sometimes with the Larimar or some of the, what you call it, chatoyant areas of like malachite or other stones that otherwise they are not chatoyant. But if you want to bring out the chatoyancy, then yeah, you'll have to use that. Now let's throw in a little bit of unadulterated olivine, because we already mixed the two areas of the Skinner blend. Bracelet, what blanks are they? Oh, I never leave the blank in the bracelet. I always just leave the, I'm very rarely leave anything in the clay. Most of the time, when I do, for example, if I do candle holders, yes, I will leave the glass in the clay just because it's about something that's supposed to have fire in it, and I'd rather get the glass heated up, not so much directly the clay, because it stings. But no, I never leave blanks in the bracelets. I mean, I use blank baking blanks, yeah, but I don't leave stuff in the clay. It's always plain clay. I'm just putting here. Thank you. Oh yeah, when I did the which Peter site is the true and which is the fake. Yeah, that was fun. That was a lot of fun. I'll do another one soon on some other stone. I promise you. It's in the works. But now I'm trying to catch up. I should get one more. I mean, I did do everything for my sponsors, but I want to get one more thing for them extra this month before the month is over. And then usually the first half of the month goes more towards YouTube. The second half of the month goes more towards my sponsors. On what did you feel? Oh, on the game, yeah. Yes, you were close. You were close, but you definitely thought some of my faux ones were real. That was kind of tickling me. Was heartwarming. Okay, now we chopped and did all that. So our olivine is ready. Let's just get it all together nicely. I wish I had the heart mode. This would be pretty, olivine heart. Now, remember what I just told you a little while ago? That always go for the middle. Because, yeah, I got all kinds of pretty stuff, but I also have a lot of fold lines. Okay? I have a lot of fold lines that would be very hard to remove even with sanding. So what I want to do, I want to go for the inside. Because look how pretty it is here. See? It's all nice, pretty, and flush. Thank you. Yeah. So we're gonna do some cabochons. Yeah, I could use a mold. I know. Let me see what I got here. Oops. Sorry. I didn't mean to do that. Okay, this would be the good size to do a teardrop. Okay, now we got a teardrop. I told you that's what I love about the Best Flexible, because it's so easy to get stuff out. Okay, got a teardroppy one. Now look at them well, because they will look very different once they are baked and cooled. Very, very, very different. And let's do this one on. Actually, I want the other one. Let's see if I have enough for this one. I think so. Should be enough for this other one. And sorry, I was talking to myself. I happen to do that a lot. Yeah, and in most cases it works good, because when you put stuff together, you'll always have those little faux lines, and especially in Pardo, it's very hard to get rid of them. Aren't you amazed how much I know my molds? That I'm pretty much on spot on how much clay I need for them. Now, remember what I told you with Pardo, you always have to be careful when you put the mold in, because it gets cranky and cracks if you push it too fast. So always check the surface of your cabochon for any potential cracks. And if that happens, just put it in one more time. Get this together and put it in one more time. And we'll do something with it here. I know I had a little piece of translucent here, of Primo translucent. There we go. Yeah, let me get this white in the middle, because I don't have enough clay and I don't want to get up. Because this needs to be used. Okay. Okay, this maybe is not enough, but we'll still make one. And I just wanted to use that little piece of olivine I had. Now, olivine again is not, especially the one that's not purely translucent, transparent, is not a very expensive stone. So if you want, you can make stuff that's really big, like full bangles you can do. Oh, you wanted the donut? Well, I don't know. We'll see. I want to do the obsidian in a dagger, so we'll try with something else. If you want a seamless donut, you don't really need that donut shape. You just do it with the snake. And it's actually something that works really good in donut beads with all kinds of patterns. I'll show you here in a sec. Okay, now with the obsidian, we are going to deal even more different than with the other ones. Because remember, the amethyst, the four amethyst we stacked and then cut. The obsidian we chopped and tossed. Now, the obsidian, the olivine we chopped and tossed. Now with the obsidian, we are going to do a little bit of change in terms of think about when the glass is, excuse me, when the glass is molten, how it will flow over itself, and sometimes obsidian can have those lines. So let's attempt and do that. So again, I cut in two and I am stacking. Only that this time, after making sure that I'm very nicely stacked, I am going to do a kind of fanning, but a little bit wonky. So see how I didn't start straight. I'm going to try and imitate the flow of molten glass over itself. So this is pretty much what you get. Very careful not to trap air at this point, because you have here a potential and here a potential. And then simply just flatten it. And once again, the same rule, go for the inside, because the outside is all ugly, while the inside is nice and smooth. Now again, I'm telling you, look at it and look at it good, because when it's going to be done and baked and cooled, it's going to be so much more different. So first, see what happens when you hurry up too much. Pardo will crack. If you hurry up too much, you must never hurry it. That's kind of normal. Did you try practicing with the acrylic block? Because that really helps. When you use the acrylic block. See, when you use the acrylic block, okay, this one is not very warm, and it's primo, but I'll just show you. So use the acrylic block, and then you can do your snake. I just need to warm it up a little bit. You can do your snake with the acrylic block, and it comes up nice and equal. And there are several sizes of acrylic blocks that allow you to make longer snakes. You can use the glass from a frame, you know, like a photo frame, and see how you get them much clearer. There's just practice. You'll get them better. Okay, so I want to make this end pointy. I'm actually going to make an obsidian blade dagger pendant. You want smoke? Yeah, we'll take another break here in a minute. If I want to finish doing all these stones, I need to take breaks from time to time. Now, if we want to go by ancient artifacts, let me first get this flatter here. Let me bring something so I can... Oh, okay. Let me bring something so I can show you what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about. This is obsidian. As you can see, it has a very mild translucency and striation. Only that this is black obsidian. So I could have made this more banded, but you don't really have to. Yeah, it's pretty much worth the money, especially when you have mica powders and all beautiful effects. Yeah, it is. Yes, pretty much, yes. But then they are also, they have chips. Here they have chipped the edges to make them sharp. Okay. This is how they worked it. So exactly, that's what I'm going to do, and I am going to actually use the round thing, the linoleum cutter, and use it very, very gently. And also you saw that you don't really have to keep all those ridges that were, but it would be a good idea for authenticity to do a little bit, and you don't necessarily have to cut. Essentially just texturize it a little bit, because the rest you can form it by sanding practically. Oops. And of course you need to put this in properly. But get all this area nicely textures to look like if it were chipped. I don't have my eyeglasses on. I hope that it does show properly. This is not meant to be pressed from the side. Of course, if you want, absolutely, yes, you can do some ridges here. I would go with the, hey, where is it? And with some cling wrap and with this exact same tool. So just do a little bit of, let me get this a little higher. Just a pinch of ridging. You don't need a lot of it. But I wouldn't go for too much, as I said. It's especially because it's a much smaller blade. And it's of a different color of obsidian. And these varied as tools and hunting objects so greatly between piece to piece because they were each made by different people most of the time. So, oh, I don't shave off, Catherine. I did not shave off. I only pressed. I did not shave off anything. I only pressed like this. It's nothing shaved off. There's no need to shave. Besides, if I shaved, it would give it a too sharp thing. It wouldn't have the look of molten glass anymore. Kinda, a little bit, but it's a different type of material and it would be much easier to polish and all that. Okay, so now I'm going to bake these. And while it's baking, we are going to take another break. And we'll be back. It's 3:42. We'll be back at 4:30. No, not 4:30. Wait. 4:15. So practically in 33 minutes. Okay? And then we'll do the calcite and then the Amazonite. I might have to leave the Amazonite for tomorrow or Tuesday, but we'll do at least the calcite. So see you in half an hour. Bye for now.